All right, so today's panel is about alternative Arab music and the revolution of alternative Arab music. I'm going to start by asking our panel if they think the Arab world will ever be able to understand and accept a new and free youth expression through music. Who wants to take the first question?
Hello. First, I want to thank Anrami and Step for this project. Thank you. Music is always about new ideas, new stories done in music. Definitely, we accept any kind of good art. This is art. This is culture. Definitely, any good music is always accepted. Definitely.
Okay, and as you know, we are a very youthful region, so we have a very growing youth population. With this growth and their newfound freedom of expression, which is happening all around us with the so-called Arab Spring, do you think this has contributed to the acceptance of new music genres, tastes, etc.? Do you want to take that, Hamed?
Sure. To be honest, I don't think any of these things are necessarily what has changed. I think the only thing that has changed is what's happening worldwide, which is the internet, right? It's not that the region was ever more conservative or less conservative. It's that at this point, musicians have the opportunity to bypass industry and do their own thing without people prying in to censor or make things more conventionally palatable. So I mean, it has nothing to do with necessarily youth. There has been an independent music scene in the Middle East for, as far back as time, but archival efforts are non-existent, and the industry is not keen on showing that.
Okay. And Patrick, I see you nodding, so what do you think about that?
Yeah, I fully agree, actually. I don't think it has anything to do with the Arab Spring or anything of that kind. The revolution, the digital revolution itself and the limitless aspect of internet has allowed emerging talent to emerge, ultimately. The good thing with that is that when you look at the new scene of music, you're seeing it becoming more and more open so that different genres are emerging and becoming whatever is happening in structured markets. So you're starting to have alternative, acid, pop, rock, jazz from the Arab world starting to emerge slowly but surely because there's an audience that is being allowed to be reached thanks to the internet, whereas before everybody was stuck in a kind of single genre on which all the majors or record companies were heavily, massively investing behind because it was the way the market was conducted and led. But today, things are really changing and we are at the forefront of that. And us as a major company being present in the Middle East are ultimately positioning ourselves as the major for the indies because we believe that the more genre you have, the more diversity you have, and the more upcoming talent you have, the more powerful you become in a world where it's becoming more and more open thanks to the internet and where new generations are being also more and more reachable.
Okay. And you as an international record label, what are you doing to support alternative local talent and bands?
So, okay, the region is a bit complicated. What we're doing here is that we're already doing lots of partnership with all or most new bands or established bands, but who are referred to as indie. In our case, we did the Now compilation. We tried to put the so-called indie talent in our partnership, sometimes with brands, sometimes within our products, such as the Now compilation. We partnered with Mashrou Leila to some extent. We partnered with Al Murabba. We partnered with Adonis, with also Apo and the Apostles, Autostrad. So slowly but surely, we are doing the connection and we are helping all those new genres to emerge in a way whereby they can find a platform for them to reach out in a more stronger way via the platform, via the technical, digital due diligences that it requires to be done to be on Rami and other legitimate music services. Also via us, we allow them to have a reach that is broader than the region itself.
So are you saying that alternative music can be commercially viable?
Yes, of course. I mean, what is alternative music? When you look at all this new scene coming up, there are people driving 20,000,
I would say Mashrou Leila is an exception.
Of course, they're one of the best, and they were the ones who were opening that way more officially. But if you look at all the others, they're driving an audience of 3,000, 5,000, 7,000 people at each and every concert. If you look at the new way that the scene is moving, all those kind of indie festivals that are taking place, they're driving a huge audience.
Okay. So I'm going to move on to the conversation around independent labels. Do we need more independent labels in the region to support independent bands and alternative bands?
To be honest, what I've seen from our experience is that the independent labels, few and very small as they are, don't have a lot more to offer than what artists can do for themselves if they have the time for that. And it really, I mean, at some point we're also talking about the sort of absence of real kind of infrastructure for independent music, at least in Lebanon, which is the only thing I think I'm entitled to speak about. Past that, I mean, what big industry has done, I don't think is necessarily about sort of opening platforms for musicians as much as just seeing that there's actually a lot of capital in independent artist turnout and then deciding to sort of tap into that and make money off of it.
Yeah.
I think
which is not a bad thing, mind you,
Yeah,
but I mean,
because
let's
just
not
to
make it
address
look
this,
like we're saving the region.
Jean-Marie, what do you think? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we need independent labels
We do.
because the major labels are doing only distribution role. Usually when you go to a major label, they should have the A&R, they should have a say about the music direction, helping this new artist. A new artist, he needs some support, intellectual support in the look and feel of the artist, about the music
management,
direction.
yeah.
Today, what's going to happen? We are Mashrou Leila or any band, Adonis, producing a song. They are looking for a distribution. We got a call from a major label. This is great. I'm not saying this is a bad. This is what we have. But why we need independent label? Because we are giving more time with the artist. We are trying to understand what the story of this artist. We are trying to do, and lately all the independent labels are producers who are doing their own label. This is not a company with investment coming behind.
Yeah.
Music requires investment and requires strategy. The majors today, they are doing the role of distribution. But lately with the Anghami, actually more than the independent labels or independent artists, they have their own channels today. So the selling of the hard copies is not anymore, this is the major thing in the music, which is bad.
So we don't always need the label. So some artists are managing
Of course we
themselves
need the label, of
if
course.
they're savvy
This is,
enough.
if we open this platform for anyone who can compose a song and release it, this is a chaos. We need an independent label to put a strategy and the music style. The music genre should really, I know this band, they have the sound, other band have other sound, other stories to tell, but how they get the money, this artist, to continue?
I think what's interesting is there actually is a lot of effort at this point for people to, I mean, this came up in a panel earlier, right? But just the power of networking. I know a bunch of sort of independent actors within the music scene, from the production side, from the distribution side, from the booking side as well. We're trying to start these various online platforms where you literally just sort of have a list of contacts on who to approach, and it's essentially, I think at some point going to be about that.
Hamed, I would love to
anything
see
else.
Universal coming and investing lots of money and effort to build or to create a new artist or band. This is the idea. This is what we need.
But this is
here
what
to
you do,
support.
right?
Yeah.
I think I do that, even though I'm not going to disclose my, books of accounts and my general ledger.
No,
But yes, we do invest the way we do it on upcoming talent, on the new scene, on independent talent who are looking for a platform, of course for distribution, but also for marketing, promotion, and advice from the production and creative point of view. But then again, maybe we don't market enough ourselves on that side, but this is part of the job we do. Now, just to address the fact that indie label presence or smaller label presence, what we believe is in the cultural diversity. The more there are potential players on that field, the happier we are. And to some extent, we could also partner with some of those. And the last thing, which was about major and record companies doing money, obviously, we're in a business. So money is also an important part of this. The question is, how reasonable are we when it comes to money? How reasonable an artist can be when it comes to money? How reasonable can the investment behind the productivity and the production, and the creative work how much money can we put behind that in a way that is economically feasible and reasonable? And this is also a part of what a major company does. Today, if you look at the market, the three natural silos of music consumption and ROI, they're not there yet. Thanks to Angami, other digital platforms, it's coming sooner than later, and we are at the beginning of that. But if you look at the physical market, there was none. If you look at the digital market, which are three things, the freemium, the download, and the subscription model, and if you look at the collecting societies aspect of the situation, we don't have any of those. We are at the beginning of having a real strong structured digital market. Once you are somewhere with that, and I hope and I think we are helping, once you are at a point where the revenue generated by the natural consumption of music are big enough, then of course we'll invest more, but we are already investing presence, time, investment in studio, investment in music production, investment in creativity. We just do it in a reasonable and feasible way to all the parties. And at the end of the story, our aim is to help artists being able to live from their creative work and from their talent so that they don't have to do 2-3 jobs at the same time.
Exactly.
This is the aim of a record company, whether it's independent, whether it's a small label, whether it's a big label. And I think that as Universal in the region, we are really fighting to get there. And again, being international label doesn't mean that the power is not local when it comes to culture and creativity.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, thank you. I think lately, I'm a music producer, so all the artists that think that the major labels here are working just managing their international catalog. And we need
More
to
presence.
prove that
We need more
these
presence.
guys.
To be honest,
this is
actually, I mean, I think our experience, and again, sort of, we are sort of not necessarily the safest bet for a label, right? But our experience suggests that the majors, when dealing with branches of the majors abroad, are actually a lot more interested in investing in creativity, uninhibited creativity, than the regional branches are.
Because they have a
where the
market
concerns
that can
tend to be
sustain
more
it.
about censorship and making sure that a CD sells.
We need you
right?
to ask
I mean,
more
sort of,
budget
this
for
is the value of sort of looking at independent, smaller labels, is that at some point we can't really talk about investing in creativity when the first premise is how well is this going to sell, and you need to take that premise with you into the studio when you're writing.
It's a bit also more complicated than this. When you have a structured market that allows you to generate enough money to really invest in creativity in a way that is not profitable, then you can do this. But we are building this market, and I think we're doing it together with the local platforms such as Angami, and ultimately we hope to get there. But today, we cannot be driven only by investment on creativity. We have to build our story, and we have to build a case whereby slowly and surely we do it in a reasonable way, and with time we'll be able to do it in a much more, I would say, not philanthropic, but
in a feasible way, I think is what you're going for. But
But
just to play
I think
devil's
the
advocate.
problem is just to like come in between this conversation. I think that this is the nature of big labels versus independent.
Right, but what I'm asking
This is
essentially
what
is
it's
if it's
like.
actually that complicated,
wanna
why
play
is
the
it that we
game.
continue to see
Following-
artists doing it on their own?
Okay, following your experience, if a new artist today is coming with a new single, how, to let everybody, we need to help people to understand how this artist will publish his music.
well, if we believe that the material he has is good enough
Okay.
and is not complete yet, believe me, and we did it already, we go into a studio, we find a music producer, whether you or somebody else, we work it out together, and we invest behind that, and we take a cut on the revenue share from the exploitation of the music across all devices, across all media, across all channels. This is what
Excellent.
we
So
do.
this is always, there is a hope for all the new artists or talents coming
course.
to go. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah, this is great. This is what we are looking for.
But again, also,
But it's not happening. This is the
it
problem.
is happening at a level that is reasonable with regards to the size of the market and with regards to what we can do.
I think major labels are held accountable to bottom line financials, so it's a bit different.
Not only that, it's
Well, I mean, so are artists. Right.
Yeah,
We
but
need
if
to
you're an
survive
art-
too.
For
Hannah,
sure,
I
but
see
if
the
you're an
problem
artist,
in a
you're more
different,
concerned with
this is part
creativity.
of the story,
perspective.
but it is not the whole story. Of course, you have some responsibility when it comes to the bottom line, but also we are rights creator, rights manager, rights exploitation people. Our job is to create rights and to protect them and to generate revenue out of them so that everybody can make a living out of it.
So, okay, talking about making a living out of it, for you as a band, when did you guys decide you're going to do this full time? I meet a lot of great bands out here. Most of them have day jobs.
Right.
When do you take that
We had
decision?
day jobs for a while, and then in 2012 we sort of just quit, and it wasn't a necessarily rational decision to take at the time. We just decided that the only way the band was going to progress is if we at least tried to do that, right? To completely invest ourselves in it. In hindsight, still not necessarily the most rational decision, right?
Still.
But no, honestly, it's not. We're not living large, right? But still, I mean, yes, everyone has to have a day job in the region, and it's just sort of what happens when.
So how did you survive? Tell us how that first year went. How did you guys survive? You're a big band.
A lot of pizza.
All of you.
Sorry? Do I have a Ferrari? I have 3 actually. No. No, I drive a 98 Mitsubishi.
So do you think that bands, I mean, there's a lot of bands that I see today from the region that are traveling in order for them to make it, to work with producers that understand their sound, for them to be, to tour internationally, and then come back to the region and become a famous band. How do we deal with this kind of confusion?
This is great. I always travel to search for the new sounds. Everybody should search. This is the search mode is always on in any real artist to find the new sound. For me, the problem is not only here. It's about sound. It's about lately we love the song, but do you love the artist? To love the artist, you need to know the artist. This is the big difference between 20 years music productions and today. Today there is an amazing songs, but we know nothing about the artists.
Do we have the local expertise to work with these different? I mean, Mashrou Leila was a completely brand new sound.
It's very important to know
when they came out.
the artist. Lately, we are working on a new music platform called Out of the Blue. It's about knowing the artist, challenging the artist, trying to get the maximum of his talent before releasing the song. You need to know if this is a real one. With all this technology, we don't have the confidence that what you are listening to, this is a real performance. People, they want to see this, the artist is really cool guy, he's educated or not, he's a performer, he's whatever. We need to know the artist. Now, I love this song, but I know nothing. This is the first time I see Hamed. I know their music, but this is the first time I see him. It's very important that people know the artist.
See him live.
Yeah.
You should see him live.
Yeah, not
Thank
only
you, but
live you see the music video clips lately, the business is not like before. But what we love to do is to see the backstage of the artist, the real life of the artist, what he's doing. Then, yeah, I like this guy, he's really cool. The way he's talking, the way the dress, whatever. So we are doing a platform, showing the artist, challenging the artist. And actually, to survive, we don't have a record label. We're trying to get some support from partners, from brands. Pepsi, they believed in this project. They gave us a support to do this music. And this is supporting a new artist or a forgotten artist, if you want to say this, or even artists, known artists, but they want to do something different. For that reason, we call it Out of the Blue.
look, also, and I totally agree with what you're saying, by the way. And not to backpedal into a potentially polemical conversation, but I think, again, there's also a market concern that's part of why you see so many musicians from the region going abroad to work with other people, which is really, again, not to put you in the spotlight, but that even when we're talking about the majors in the region, the idea is still that a local band will have a local, at best, regional audience. When we know for a fact from the market that that's actually not the way it's working, right? That people, for us, for several other bands, Who Killed Bruce Lee, et cetera, there's been a lot of work that's been allowed to be recorded and distributed and whatnot because of people's desire to invest in that band as a potentially international act, right? Versus sort of coming to the table here, where quite often, again, it's like, will this pass? We know the region is messed up, right? You can't completely hold the labels accountable for it. The censorship laws are ridiculous. It's not even about trying to say anything controversial most of the time. But it just quite often feels like you have literally more freedom abroad. And this isn't to sort of play into that sort of Orientalist stereotype about what the region is. It's just what the market expects here for itself is very different.
Yeah, yeah. And Patrick, do you believe the same about
What
the
I
region?
believe also is that maybe to some extent the quality of the local music production scene can be expanded so that some artists, when they're at the forefront of trying to find a new sound, a new beat, need to go abroad to be helped packaging their creative work in a way that satisfies their desire and their ambition. And maybe the region is not yet up to the level of what is happening abroad.
Did you guys produce your last album here?
No, we did it abroad.
Okay.
I don't agree on this. I don't agree. Sometimes you do music
I don't
here.
either.
Yeah, I wish we were able to produce
It's nothing to
local.
do about the sound outside or abroad or in our region. It's the idea that if you want to create a new sound, it's a new sound. For me, if I am a major label, I want to create a new music industry in the region. I can bring big celebrities and try to do a duet with the local artists, and I introduce this local artist to the world. This is a step that I really, it's missing in this region. Why nobody is doing this? This is very important.
I think we did it on a project.
Yeah, but we didn't do new music. This is what we are looking. It's a new music. It's not like covers doing this duet and cover. Really, we need to imagine that the Mashrou Leila or Adonis or any artist doing like a project with an artist from your international catalog. This
Yeah,
is
but that's
really
not
will
the
help
only
them a
way.
lot. This is
I mean,
But that's not the only way for.
it's really
no, but
not.
it's a way. It's a way. The problem that today, the mass, today we are talking about a small part of the music, but the big part of the music. If you go to Angami and you listen, you see the first, the established artists. All the established artists are really old. They are not young. We are looking for established
Talking
young
about the Arabic pop.
pop artists. Okay. For that reason, and I know.
But that's very different than.
No,
the
but because lots
alternative
of the
sound.
teenagers they are listening only to this new Arabic music, but not the established artists, which means we have a big problem.
Yeah.
80% from 18 years and below, they don't listen to Arabic music.
Yeah.
So this is bad. This is maybe good for his international catalog, but not for us.
So a question: why? I don't know. That's a personal kind of thing that I've noticed. Why are a lot of these talents and bands coming out of Lebanon, out of Egypt? I mean, traditionally, these countries have always been
Well, and
exporting.
Jordan, and
I-
for a lot of
for
time,
sure,
there was a lot
Jordan
of great work
more
coming out
so
of Syria
lately.
before the war. There's a lot of
I'm
interesting
Syrian,
stuff coming
and
out of Tunis and Morocco.
Very few Syrian bands started coming out after the war. Before the war, you wouldn't even hear.
There was a lot going on before the war, coming out of Syria. There is a
But
lot of stuff.
traditionally, the ones that we hear, the ones that are exported, the ones that we.
How they will survive? This is the main.
But why? Why do you
There's
think
no
Lebanon
money.
is a better?
Honestly, like we could tiptoe around the subject as much as we want, and as cynical as it is, at the end of the day, the thing that sort of drives the music scene is always your ability to access money. Otherwise, you cannot justify spending sort of 18 hours a day trying to write music when there's no way you're going to get anything out of it. As sort of idealistic as it is, this idea that the artist should just do things because of the kindness of their heart is essentially a super bourgeois concept, that you can afford to do that you won't go hungry, that you won't suffer, right? If there's no money in the scene, there's no scene.
But then, is there money in Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt? Is there money in the music business?
If you're lucky, we got super lucky, for example. We quit our jobs, we suffered for a few months, and then things kind of worked out. At this point, we live off of the music. It's not like we're living large, right? But we get to do this. We get to sort of go home at the end of the day and say, here's what we do, here's what we love. We can survive next week.
As I told you, this new platform that creating the out of the blue, without the support of Pepsi, it would be really difficult.
Yeah, and Red Bull does the same. They
Yeah,
support a lot of the.
This is very important. But the question now, how we will announce this music to the world? Okay, we convinced a partner to join us to support us creating new music or developing new artists. We have an amazing music, amazing album. Okay, what next? We put it on Anghami. Anghami, they did the maximum sending notification. Type what after this? The media, they are not supporting.
Yeah.
If you go to any TV,
Yeah, they don't
they
not
are not
support.
supporting.
The radio doesn't
All
support
the
either.
judges on the talent shows are the pop, even old
Yeah.
artists, and they are judging new talent. So this is this is another problem
So we
that
g-
we
yeah.
have.
It's called
this is-
conflict of interest.
Yeah, this is different.
So we got to wrap it up. So I'm going to leave with one question that I would like all of you to answer. What can we do as fans, as promoters, as people who care about the industry and care about this music? What can we do to support it and help it thrive?
Okay, I think Patrick should start with answering this.
First of all, artists have to know, whether they're independent, upcoming, that if they have the right talent, with the right potential audience, there's a home called Universal Music MENA, which can help them have a platform for them to be able to exploit whatever they're doing creatively, to monetize from it, and whereby there is a potential investment available. But again, the investment has to be realistic with regards to the market realities, which we believe are evolving surely, but a little bit slowly. But we know that the market will structure itself, and we know that people will be able to live from their art, and the next generation coming in, slowly but surely, will be able to monetize from their creative work.
But what do you want the fans to do? Like, what can the fans do? What can the market do to support independent musicians?
Well, a fan is, what happens is that when you have a fan base, it's a moment where an artist meets his audience. This is for us to increase via the social networking and the platforms, in the sense that we need to do the social marketing, the push, the presence of the album, the availability, the SEO, the SMO, and all those kind of things. But our job is just to promote to the maximum an artist so that his fan base and him can meet in a stronger, better way and in a broader way when it comes to audience regionally and also abroad, because of the limitless aspect of internet.
I think music is like food. We need, remember when the sushi food coming to the region, we need to introduce this new style of music to the fans. There is a fans of a music style and there is the fans of the artist. It's different two problems. The music style, this is where the major label, the media, the Anghami, any media support, we need it here to introduce this new music style to the fans. If we don't introduce it properly, we will not have fans to this kind of music. The artist, I need to know the artist to become a fan. It's not only about the music. This is different. I love one song, but I don't like the artist. This is a different issue. So this is very important that we need to introduce the music and know what is this kind of music exactly.
I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, just keep listening. Really. I mean,
Open your mind.
we can talk about introducing artists and getting support from labels and whatnot, but at the end of it, the only thing that matters is if you like the band, show up to the show, watch a concert, buy the CD, even if you can stream it for free, which is great. Thank you, Anghami. But also, I mean, we need to be aware, especially when we're talking about independent artists, that for the most part, our livelihood is gigs and records.
It's not for free, they are paying.
Yeah, it's really, I mean...
Yeah, so the fans have a responsibility as well. If they want this music to continue, I mean,
so do
we need to
organizers,
be-
so do labels, so
Yeah.
do, I mean... Yeah, it's just...
And on that note, we will end our session. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for...